I was wrongly accused of say by my cousin. After almost 10 years, my family is finally getting in touch with me. The home where I grew up was possibly the most normal of all normal homes. Even though my parents worked hard, they still took care of me and my 3 older sisters. As a family, we were never really close, but we also never had any problems. The same goes for my big family. Some hours away, but we always got along great when we saw each other during the summer or at Christmas. We grew apart as adults though because everyone had their own lives. I'm 31 years old now. In 2014, when I was 22 and in college, my mother called me on the phone. It was the worst call I've ever had. I remember that at first I didn't answer because I was playing video games with my friends, but she called right away after the first call. This was a family rule that wasn't written down. It's important if you call twice like that. Like a very important person died. When she called again, I told her I had to call someone else, but when I did, I heard chaos on the other end. It looked like they were fighting, but it sounded like my mom went to another room and shut the door when she saw that I had answered. I heard her crying after I asked what was wrong. It's a little hard for me to remember this discussion, but basically she asked me if I had something to say about E. E is my cousin on my mom's side. He is 15 years old, 7 years younger than me. I hadn't seen E in a few years at that point. I told him no and asked what the deal was. It made her cry even more, and then she accused me of essaying E when we were kids. That E told my sister everything, and my sister then told my mom and aunt. He told them that she was 9 years old and I was 16 years old. She was playing in my room when I came in and kissed and felt her under her clothes. I couldn't even speak when my mom yelled at me to. It was also silly. I thought that had to be a bad joke at the time. Something I said before this was that it's not true and E is lying. Following this, my mom says that E gave such a thorough account of where and how. Then she asked over and over, "Did you do that? Did you do it?" I just yelled back at her no every time. At the end, my mom put me on speaker and told both of them that they don't want anything to do with me and that I should never call them again. Later that day, 2 of my sisters texted me and pretty much said I'm gross. Then they blocked me. I know it's strange, but I took a long shower after that call. I still don't understand why I did that. When I felt calmer, I called and texted everyone, even E. Nobody picked up, and those who hadn't already blocked my number did so right away. My dad was the only one who replied. He texted me to tell them to stop calling and to give them time to heal. We haven't talked to anyone in my family since then. That was 9 years ago. It's not enough to say that this messed me up. After that, I was so drunk I barely ate for weeks, that I was already stressed out, and having this happen right before I had to defend my bachelor's thesis didn't help. My co-writer saw that something wasn't right and saved me by being in charge of the talk so I could get the easy parts. I'm sure I would have failed without him. No one, of course, showed up to my graduation. After that, the worst time of my life began. This was the first year of my life. I was always afraid the police would come and arrest me for sexual abuse. I couldn't find work, so I was living off the money I had saved. I did oxy and drank a lot. I also became angry and violent. I didn't hurt anyone because no one else was around. One time, my neighbor called the police on me because I broke a glass, but I was able to tell them I had just dropped it, and they left because no one else was in my flat. I planned how I could hurt E and make sure no one found out all night until I finally fell asleep. I was even thinking about how I could do even worse things than what she accused me of. I know I'm not proud of that. In late 2015, I got my first real job in my field. After that, things began to get better. My job kept me busy because it gave me something normal to do. It took a while to get better, but I drank less and smiled more. I didn't spend much and made a lot of money, so for my birthdays I bought myself nice gifts like a VR headset, a motorbike, Lego, and so on. I also moved out of my bad flat and bought a small house last year. Having my own garage and yard was a dream of mine for a long time. This has made me feel even better. Now everything is fine in my life. I'm still having trouble. Since a few years ago, I've been taking drugs. They help, but not in a good way. They just get rid of the bad thoughts and replace them with ones that are dead. There is almost no trust in other people in my life. There have been 2 dates with 2 different people, but I haven't gone on many dates. In the end, it's really tough to talk like a normal person. What would I say to a possible partner about my family if she asked? Oh, I see. They accused me of a terrible crime, so we're no longer talking. I swear I didn't do it, though. Since most of the people in my field are men, the only woman I really talk to is my therapist, whom I really like. A few days ago, my mom sent me a text message. At first, I was afraid to open it because it seemed too good to be true, so I looked at the notice for hours before I did. Yesterday, there was a second letter. When translated, they say something like, "Hi, my name is underscore 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 underscore. It's been a long time since we talked. We miss you and want to know how things are going for you." She writes a long letter about my sisters and how my nieces and nephews are growing up. I had no idea I had an uncle. We love you and always will. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Hi, my name is Number. We understand if you don't want to talk to us after what happened, but please listen. The second text said, "At a family get-together last month, the subject of you came up." He played down everything that had happened to her during this. She finally told him that she probably just dreamed it because it was too awkward before. We were all shocked by this. Since the last time we talked, we did what we thought was best to keep E safe. We know that doesn't make up for how you were treated. We're all mad at E for what she did. We told everyone who knew the truth when we called them. Our whole family wants to talk to you, and your sisters want you to meet theirs. If you can forgive us, please write back. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Okay then. That's how things are for me right now. I haven't replied yet, but they know I've seen it. To be honest, I'm furious. So many bad thoughts from the past are coming back to me now. They have hurt me, And I don't trust myself enough to be in the same room with them right now. Some parts of me want to call my family and tell them everything. I want to make them feel bad about what they're going through by telling them everything I went through. Then I will spend the rest of my life making my cousin's life as bad as it can be. Along with my motorbike and yard, the other part of me wants to ignore them and keep living my kind of okay life. I don't have any friends. They're the only people I talk to, but we're not really close. I called my therapist's office, but they told me she's on holiday and won't be back for weeks. I need her, not anyone else. That just leaves strangers on the internet. Where should we go from here? Do I just ignore them and keep going? Should I answer? If so, what should I write? It looks like I won't be able to meet them in person for a while, and I'm not sure how picking up those old lines will make my life better either. No matter how embarrassing it sounds, I've dreamed that when they said sorry, they would fall to the ground and kiss my feet. Texting is such a letdown right now. I was wrongly accused of say by my cousin. After almost 10 years, my family is now getting in touch with me part 2. So it's been about 3 months since my last post, and a lot has happened since then. Some for the worse, and some for the better. E is still a big UJ hole, for starters. About a week after my family sent me the messages, she also sent me a long text message to say she was sorry. I couldn't believe my eyes when I got it. She said she had mental health issues, and had been dealing with them for a long time. It was almost an excuse for why she hurt me. Her parents were there to help her get the help she said she needed. I thought this was BS because I've known E my whole life. Before that terrible day in 2014, she was a happy, bright girl. The whole text message made me feel like she was just giving me reasons for what happened, and then saying the smallest possible sorry at the end. I was going to keep living my life and try to make it better and better over time, but seeing this made me give up. I had to answer, and I used the worst words I could think of to insult her. What the text message I sent said in the end was, "You think your mental problems are bad. See how bad your mental health gets when you are taken away from and not allowed to talk to your whole family for 10 years when you are early in your adult life. I am still trying to deal with everything that happened, and the last thing I need is for the person who caused my pain to give me reasons for what happened. The rest of my family may not have known about it, but you did. There was no way you could have known and not said anything sooner, did you? You're lucky I didn't kill myself at this point. But my parents and brother are a different story. I will never be able to forgive you for the damage you did to me and my relationships that can't be fixed. Oh, please go to hell and never talk to me again." Even though she hasn't replied, I know she got the message because I can see that it was read. Maybe she got the message and didn't answer. I also replied to my parents, which is good news. We talked about everything on the phone, so there was nothing crazy in the text. It was strange to hear their voices again. Before what happened, those sounds made me feel safe at home. Now they make me feel something else. I didn't like it at first. All the bad memories from the last time I talked to them came flooding back to me. I didn't do the things those voices were yelling at me for. It took 3 to 4 hours, and even though it was hard for both of us, it was the most useful talk I've ever had with them. A lot of reasons like E I thought it would be. But to my surprise, they did more than just say sorry a million times, but told me everything they were wrong about. For years, they said it was making them feel bad, and now that the truth is out, they don't know how to live with themselves. It was really hard when I asked them why they didn't listen to me or believe me when I said their son was worse than a sister. They told me it was very hard for them, but E had made it seem so real that they didn't have a choice. I told them they should have tried to get me help instead of just cutting ties, but they didn't give me anything to work with. They said they already knew this, which was tough. They said they wanted to get in touch with me after the first year or two to try to work things out. But I wouldn't talk to them because of who I was, and things would only get worse. I got angry about that because who cares what kind of person I am? I am your son. And that is the most important thing about me. It was decided in the end that we will keep in touch. I'm not going to go see them or anything, but it's a start. At the same time that I hate them very much, I think things can get better, which is why I'm somewhat happy. There have been many phone calls since then, but we still talk to each other often, and things are slowly getting back to how they were. One day I might go see them, but I don't know when or how it will go. What's the right way to greet and hug the people who kicked me out of their lives? After almost 10 years, my family is now getting in touch with me. Last part. Hey everyone, I have more news about my problem with E and the SA. I'm happy to say that I have better news than bad news this time after another 4 to 5 months. A lot of people told me to sue or go to court with E at first. I agree with you that what she did was horrible and cannot be forgiven, but I don't think that will help anything. It's been going on for 10 years, and I'd just like it to be over with. It would cost me a lot of money to take her to court, and I can't do that. I also can't help but think about how E never took it to court either. That's not a good reason, but it was an idea. I still talk to my parents, and you won't believe it, but I went to see them about a week ago. You can't get in touch with E either. And I think that her getting the same treatment I did is the same punishment as being sued. Trust me, I'd know. It was nice to see my parents. The rest of my family and I haven't seen each other because I want the process to go slowly. But we did meet and have a nice dinner. I said in my last post that I didn't know how the welcome process would work. How should I meet the people who completely changed my life? The welcome went better than I thought it would. I thought that hate would win, but when I saw them, I felt a little better. Is that strange? I don't know if it was seeing them that made me feel like my life was getting back to normal. Because the talk was so hard, I didn't hug them until afterward. I wasn't trying to be mean, but I felt I had to really show them how much they hurt me. My mother cried at one point because I told her so much about the worst times of my life. These people said they know they can't change what happened, but are hopeful about the future. They even suggested that I come home for Christmas and spend time with my family. I told them I was planning to take things slowly, but I said I might be open to the idea. Even though I still have mixed feelings, the hate is slowly leaving me, and I just feel like a better person in general. The situation must have been too much for me to handle for 10 years. It feels good to be free of criticism now. I've also started going out on dates and have met a great girl with whom I'm slowly becoming more serious. Things are getting better. What will happen in the next 10 years? I don't know, but I feel like things are getting better for the first time in a long time. Thank you for reading my story. I hope it helps you with your own problems and issues. It does get better after 10 years.